second, get rid of the lag. This is usually where it all goes fucking wrong.
Well, we haven't started off the best already.
I know we haven't started off the best way, mate, but usually I think that I've got all the technical stuff out of the way, and then we all turn into robots.
Oh, we're going to do that eventually anyway, aren't we?
Yeah, mate, it seems like it.
It does.
First up, thanks for coming on the show, mate.
Thank you, mate. I feel a bit honoured and humbled considering some of the guests that you've had on, and a bit confused because you've had some pretty epic guests with like Phil Turner and some of the SAS guys. I'm just a bit of an idiot, to be honest. So we're all apes anyway, mate. We're all apes. Yeah.
No, like I've always said, mate, the Ground Zero podcast is for anyone that wants to come on, whether you got a story or not. Basically, what it is my way of dealing with my own issues in my noggin, and having fresh new people to talk to helps me on my little fucking journey. Basically.
Do you know what I think that is, mate? I think a lot of us actually need that. One of the things that I firmly believe in is that we've sort of lost the art of communication.
100%, mate.
With WhatsApp groups, like social media, everything's so instant, so quick. You sort of lose concept of tone.
Yeah.
You've got text language, everything. So I think I've sort of said this or put a post out about this during lockdown about like what I've learned. And I think I actually miss making time to have like FaceTime calls with my friends to actually have a conversation.
100%. I totally agree there. And I've always been the same. Like, it might just be the way my mind works. If I'm already in a bad mood and I get a text that's quite short, I read it as though they're pissed off at me as well. So I read it in like an angry tone. I'm like, what the fuck's their fucking problem?
See, and then, I'm one of those people that I come across quite blunt. I'm very black and white. And people say that I'm very direct. And they often, especially through text, it sounds like I'm really pissed off with someone. When actually, in fact, that little lull means I'm okay. I put that to try and lighten everything up.
You don't have to put lol at the end.
Yeah. Well,
lol. I agree. Like, throughout this lockdown period, I think I've spoken to my dad more than I ever have. He'll just randomly FaceTime me. It's like, "You right?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm right, Dad. How's it going?"
Yeah.
The same with my brother's usually comes on the show quite regularly anyway. But with the missus' side of the family, we've been FaceTiming more, and I think the main thing was for the girls, really, because they felt the lockdown more than what me and the missus did.
Yeah.
Because kids in general, aren't they? They want to go and see their mates. They want to piss ass about at the park.
So have you been homeschooling them?
Yeah, mate. Well, I say I have. I haven't. My regular human job was still going, so I was still going into work. But the missus, to be fair to her, she's stuck pretty rigid to it. Like, every now and then she goes, "Right, they're having a teacher training day today." But yeah, to be fair, the school has set up a thing on their website. We could click on it, and it gives you everything that they would be learning. However, they don't tell you how they teach it. So still
this is my point.
The noughties, 90s way of teaching, and the kids are like, "What? Like, well, this is how you do it. You do it." That's not how we've been taught, Dad. It's like, oh.
I mean, I feel for the parents and the children during this time, mainly because, parents aren't taught how to teach kids. Like, as much as we all think we're the greatest teachers in the world, we're not designed or taught how to teach our kids in the same way that they are at school. And to be fair, the poor kids, you're asking them to go from their place of happiness where they can run around with their toys and the cartoons, and you're asking them to then work in that environment, and that's extremely difficult, especially when they're so young. So it must be horrible for children at the moment to actually sit there, try and learn something when, I know, they're Action Man or they're Pokemon toys, you know.
Yeah.
That shows how old I am, actually, the Action Man heroes.
Action Man, mate. Action Man's brilliant. I used to have loads of them.
It must be hard, man.
I definitely feel for like my kids, like because I've got zero patience when it comes to teaching, unless it's sport. I can coach sports like the back of my hand. That was basically what I did during college, secondary school, up until I joined the military. I was a coach. I used to coach. Funnily enough, I said it countless times, even though I'm 5'6", I was a very good basketball player, and I used to coach all the younger years basketball at my school. That was my like thing. I was Tommo, the kid that plays basketball, basically. However, academia, trying to teach and them not knowing what I'm talking about with my short temper doesn't kind of go. It's like, why don't you know it?
Yeah.
Do better.
I can imagine, actually. I don't think I'd be that great with children in that sense. No, I think I'd be the same as you, actually. Like, I'm not that academic. I'm okay at reading and learning for myself, but I'm not so sure, and quite good at sort of passing knowledge on to people when it comes to, I don't know, like training or something like that. But
if it's something you're passionate about and you know a lot of, then
exactly.
100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it like I've always been shit at maths, so trying to teach a 6-year-old maths, that I'm looking at it going, I don't even remember doing that. Let me get my iPhone out.
Yeah, I mean,
that's always been a big thing as well, right? I remember being at school and them saying you're never going to have a calculator everywhere you go. Well,
you were wrong there, weren't they?
You're wrong. I've got one.
We've got more than a calculator. We've got all the answers.
Yeah, exactly. Got the answers at a touch of a finger.
Absolutely. And so it's only going to be a matter of time until that's installed into us. Let's be honest.
Oh,
with the way that
I don't think I'd want that in my head.
No, I agree.
You're one click away from going on to porn anyway, so.
I mean, I keep getting these pop-ups as we're talking, and from like YouTube and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, Skype's listening to our conversation.
Yes.
Adverts popping up. It's mad, mate. Those adverts, right? So this is a bit of a Granite Zero exclusive as well. So talking about education, I've decided to do a bit of online training. So I'm doing a life coach course and a depression awareness course, just so that if in the future I go on to some sort of like motivational speaking sort of thing, I've got the qualifications to do it. Literally, I booked these courses, and then like not even seconds later, on my Facebook feed is the actual course that I'm doing with the picture of it, and it's like, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
You weren't there before.
The scariest is when you don't search it and it's just a conversation that you've been having. Like that's the scary part for me. I mean, we all like accept cookies and stuff, so they are going to sort of send what we're searching for. So those adverts are going to come up, and I expect that. It's when I don't search it. I'm just talking about maybe, oh, I really like the new Hilux, and then next advert on Instagram is Hilux for £275 a month.
Yeah, it's mad, mate.
Motherfuckers.
You motherfuckers.
Yeah.
It's like when you ask Alexa, are you listening? And then it just turns itself off. And you're like, oh, so you are listening. You naughty bitch.
I refuse to have one. I actually refuse to have one because I don't know if you've seen that film about the guy, what was his name, Snowden? It's based on a true story. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast. And like, mate, like sketchy. I just like that's a rabbit hole to go down. Let's leave for another night. But Jesus, like, believe me. Other than talking to you right now, I'm not keeping my laptop open at all. Yeah. So you're gonna have some stuff popping up, mate, for sure.
So while we're talking, just be fucking knocking me arm out of the way. Bristol to Paris. Come on.
Yes.
Let's get amongst that.
Okay. So my best friend and I, Tom Cluck, we run a rugby team, like a sevens rugby team, called Empire. So if for people who don't know what sevens is, it's basically rugby union, but with half the players. So there's 7 players instead of 14. So it's a much more expansive, fast-paced game. And we've got a team member, Tom Davies, who has become like a really, really close friend of ours. And he approached both of us, saying how his girlfriend's niece, Phoebe, who's 2, had been diagnosed with cancer.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. And he said, look, guys, I want to do something to raise money for the charity. Now, me personally, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of charities because, like, I don't think the money goes where it needs to.
Yeah, we'll discuss that when you finish your story. I've got one.
Yeah. I don't want to be paying for some CEO's new Aston Martin, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But Beads of Courage have actually been instrumental in her sort of like recovery, and she's still battling on. She's like, I've actually got a little message from her dad, if you don't mind me reading it.
Oh no, of course, go ahead, mate.
I'll sort of explain it because I asked him the other night. I said, look, I'm gonna go on this podcast, and I wanted to see what your side of it was. I actually found this a little bit hard to read when I did it, so bear with.
Yeah, no problem, mate.
He's like, hi Leigh. Phoebe is a very active, sassy 2-year-old who is excited about her 3rd birthday this month. She's always full of energy and nothing stops her from being the bubbly little girl she is. Phoebe has never complained about her journey, and because she is so brave, it gives her strength as a family. In February 2020, we took Phoebe to the Bristol Children's Hospital as she had been unwell and had a lump on the right side of her stomach. Within 2 hours of being at the hospital, we were told Phoebe had a Wilms tumour, which is cancer in and around her right kidney. Our world fell apart upon hearing that our little girl was so poorly. We stayed with Phoebe in hospital for a week for scans, tests and operations to insert her wiggly lines to allow Phoebe to start chemotherapy. Within 5 days of diagnosis, Phoebe started chemo. We were allowed home after the 7 days, and Phoebe had 4 weeks of chemo before further scans and surgery to remove the Wilms tumour. After examination, the Wilms tumour was classed as stage 2, and Phoebe would require a further 7 months of chemotherapy, of which we are nearly halfway through. During this time, we were hit with lockdown and began some homeschooling with our son, Rory Jack. He's been an amazing support to his little sister and keeps her spirits high by making her laugh and encourage her to have fun. The hospital was pleased with Phoebe's progress, and we wouldn't be so strong as a family if it wasn't for our brave little girl. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah. I can see why you guys are doing it. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I put a post out the other day because I wanted people to sort of appreciate exactly what we're doing this for, because I don't want it to be about the 3 of us doing the ride. Because I think if anyone actually looks through my feed or follows my feed, I like to do stupid shit and like fitness like based stuff. So actually training for it is fun to me, and it's going to be a good laugh. What I want people to realise is we're doing this to help raise awareness for this charity that are actually helping little girls like Phoebe, and I can only wish that if I'm ever in that position that I could be a warrior like her, because I've never had to be a warrior like that in any situation. I'd like to think that I could be, but you never know. And she's an inspiration to us. So
yeah, definitely. And it's crazy how strong children are when it comes to those sort of things. It's like they take it in their stride. Like if I was diagnosed with something, I'd like to think that I'd be strong, but knowing me, I'd be an absolute baby. Like I cut up my finger the other day in the sink on a potato peeler, and I was like a little girl, mate. I was like, oh, a finger. So like,
see, I'm a bit like my girlfriend will probably say I'm a bit emotionless at times because I'm a bit stoic by nature.
Yeah.
Very laid back. Don't really let much sort of bother me unless it has to. But you put anything like anything happens to a dog, or if it's like a sad film, I well up as quickly as you can imagine.
So
like a little girl.
I totally like empathise with you there, because my missus has always seen me as a bit dead inside. I don't know if it was when I started having all my mental health issues that I sort of closed myself off. So I was very much, yeah, all right, lad, whatever. Like say something like that story you just said, I'd have been like, all right. But now, fucking hell, I watch things like what was it, Britain's Got Talent or something. There's a group of kids that are brilliant. I'm like that. Oh, they're so talented. I think
I'm not crying, you are.
Yeah, my missus, we were watching Afterlife, the second one.
Yeah.
And there's a bit in it where he's giving his wife a bit of bants about her having her hair gone.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he goes, "But you're still so beautiful." But like, I don't know if it's whether I sort of relate to Ricky Gervais because I'm a huge fan. But when he started crying, I was like, "Oh God!" Like, and my missus was like, "Are you crying?" I'm like, "No, not crying." Massive lump in my throat.
I'm exactly the same. It's funny what we like respond to, because little secret, I absolutely love chick flicks. They're my favorite, but I always have to check when something like gets to me. I always check to see if my missus is well enough as well, and usually it's not. It's me. It's just me first.
Just you, mate. Just
I know.
you.
I'm a big softie, really.
Yeah. I'm not. I don't mind a chick flick. Like I can't pretend that I didn't download Pitch Perfect the other day on my phone while I was at work.
Oh,
well, that's sing along.
Yeah. Although I'm a bit of a Maid of Honor fan and 27 Dresses, so you
pulling them all out now.
But you put "P.S. I love you" in front of me, I'm a wet blanket.
Wet blanket. So back to the ride. I might have something that might help boost the profile of it a little bit. So I'm a huge fan of Brendan Schaub and the Fighter and the Kid. You might know Brendan Schaub from going on the Joe Rogan podcast.
I do.
He's an ex-UFC fighter, now stand-up comedian, and he's taken up riding, cycling. That's his new thing. But he's a big guy, a bit like yourself. So he's got his own sort of bike thing at the minute. It's called the Thick Boys Bike Club.
Wow.
Yeah. Spelled THICC and then Boys Bike Club. And you put a hashtag and he tends to like retweet or share it, things like that. And I also know he's a giant softie, like the pair of us. And when it comes to things like kids and having illnesses and things like that, he does a lot to support people. So I'll at the end of this, I'll ping you his user and the hashtag and whatnot, and that might give a boost. I say that like I'm his best mate, but he has commented to me a few times. But yeah, it might just help being part of the Thick Boys Bike Club.
Any help's appreciated. I mean, the response has been overwhelming.
You link your if you've got Just Giving or a GoFundMe or whatever it is, or the charity, I'll put that in the story. I'll put it in the on the upload, so when it goes onto YouTube and Anchor and Apple Podcast and all the other,
that'd be incredible.
That will all smash through, hopefully, and everybody that's listening, fucking donate. Don't be Jack. Jack out. It's a good cause.
The support has been overwhelming, you know, and I can't thank people enough. We sort of have a target of we want to try and get at least £3,000 really. I think we're nearly halfway there. But
that's fine. When are you planning on?
September 18th.
That's the day after my wedding anniversary.
I will congratulate you the day before I leave.
Thanks very much. It's also the day after it's also the day after I left the forces as well.
Why'd you leave the forces?
I left for family reasons. So basically, I wanted to spend a bit more time with my daughters and the missus. At the time I was serving, we were still heavily involved in Afghanistan, so we were gearing up to go away on our 4th tour. And I was like, I don't think I'd go on another tour, especially with I think the missus was pregnant at the time with our 2nd, and I was like, I don't think I could do it again. Basically, like when I did 5.5 years. If I'm honest, I wish I'd done more. Which is one of the reasons why I started suffering with my issues, because I never settled afterwards. I was always still thinking that I was serving, basically. But yeah, it was a tough decision, but in the long run, I believe it to be the right decision. You know, I think.
Do you think you would have? It's hard to like say, because obviously you are where you are now, but do you reckon your issues would have amplified if you'd done wrong?
Yeah, definitely. With a lot of people say things like, how can you have such issues? You weren't blown up in an IED or whatever like that. But when you're constantly over multiple months that I was away on tour, you're on constant alert, you're on high stressful situations, and I think all of that at the time you soak up, and you never really relax and release it, in my opinion. And then when I came out, I was still closed off. It was me missus basically that was like, you've got a problem. And I was like, nah, I can't. But yeah, I mean, did.
I actually know quite a few veterans, and I actually really enjoy spending my time with veterans. Like a lot of the guys that Team Lakota, Lakota Outdoors. Yeah. So most of them are either still serving or ex-army, or Stu, the owners, Navy, I think. And I'm a bit envious, if I'm honest. I know we messaged the other day. It's something.
Yeah. The reason why I asked you was because you look like a veteran. I don't know if it's the Ali beard, the hat, the t-shirt. That's
the best compliment you could give me right now is about the beard. When I'm younger,
it's only because I'm jealous. I tend not to get people that can grow good beards on my show because I can't grow a proper beard.
Oh, don't Andrew from Lakota on. He's got the sickest beard. They all wind me up that mine's not as good as his. But as I was saying, is I can't say I regret it. But the more I look into, I read the biographies of all the like SAS guys and whatnot, and a lot of friends sort of say to me that I'm wired differently. Like I've just got this like nature or desire to like push myself, and I switch off or whatever. And I think like my mindset is very much towards what the military would have, like they would have brought the best out of me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. It does take a special type of person, I would say. I know there's a lot of regular people that are in the military, but you know, the company that I've sort of kept and are in contact with through Instagram and things like that, we all seem very like-minded, and even most of the civvies that I speak to, like yourself, we all seem to be after the same sort of goals, and that's the sort of company that you should keep, I think, and keep away from the fucking trolls and dickheads of the world that try and bring you down. You know what I mean?
The problem is, especially with social media gives everyone a voice. Now everyone has got an opinion, But it might, like, I think the way I look at it is, if you cast out a net and grab 100 people, just 100, what is the percentage of chance that there's a fucking idiot in that group? It's 100%.
Yeah,
now,
there's always an idiot.
That to everyone in the world, which the internet and social media has done, there's a lot of fucking idiots, and idiots have opinions too. And usually it's the idiots that the ones that have got the opinion that they shout, because most people that have got anything about them don't bother making negative comments because they've got their own stuff going on.
Yeah.
They're too busy. I think one of my
thing
favorite
as well about taking offense and people's opinion, it's like, that's your opinion. Mine might be different. You don't need to. You're not going to change my mind. It's my opinion. You don't need to have an argument with me.
Absolutely. Like, people have lost, like I said earlier, they've lost the art of communication and debating. Like, for me, a debate is actually a good thing, because it means that, say you have a difference of opinion to me, I'm open-minded, so I will quite happily allow you to try and change my mind. And if you don't change my mind, I might actually learn something anyway. So there's a benefit to me. Doesn't mean I'm going to dislike you. Like,
yeah,
that's how I see it. Like, a debate, just because we have a difference of opinion, like, I have views on veganism, I have views on, like, racism. If someone disagrees with me, that doesn't mean that they're not a friend anymore. It just means we have a difference of opinion. And if you can change my mind, I'm happy for you to do that. And if I can change your mind, great. If you can't, I'm happy to disagree. But unfortunately, we seem to have lost that, or most people have. It's a blame culture, and everyone just wants to get down everyone's throats and just have an argument.
That's the thing as well. Everyone goes straight to taking offence to things.
Oh.
Like, I've said countless fucking too many things on this show that possibly
I can imagine
would cause a lot of offence. And my brother always jokes to me saying, you're going to get kicked off YouTube for saying things like that and things like that. But it's like, well, I'm going to air my opinion. This is my show, and I've said it. I can't remember which episode it was. It's my show. I can do what I want. If you don't like it, you don't have to listen. Turn me off.
That's exactly the place I got to with myself. Sort of a while ago, I just got to the point where, if you don't, I'm comfortable with who I am, so I'm going to be me. If you don't like for who I am, I don't have a problem with that. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was always my my downfall. Is I always tried to cater to other people. Like,
same.
If someone didn't like me, I'd be like, why don't you like me? I'm a nice guy. You are upsetting me.
I mean, it's funny you should say that. That's a really similar thing that I struggled with for many years, actually. So I used to be like an amateur sort of competitive bodybuilder, right? And the reason I got into that was insecurity, actually. One of the reasons is insecurity. I didn't like how I looked, so I wanted to change it. Also, I'd been doing my career, my job, since I was 14, so I was 25 when I sort of started bodybuilding, so quite late anyway. But I'd been doing it for such a long time. I was very good at it, but it wasn't sort of challenging me mentally. So bodybuilding gave me a focus, something I could learn. So I wanted to learn the physics, the biology, the chemistry of it and everything, as well as change the dynamics of my physique, because I was unhappy with it. But straight away, as soon as you become a bodybuilder, everyone looks at you and treats you very differently. They judge you, and they have this perception of exactly the person you're going to be. And I always felt for a long time that I had to cater for that, and I had to come across extra nice, because people would look at me and they'd think that I was going to be a dick, on nights out.
Arrogant meathead.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly everyone thinks that bodybuilders go to the gym and they think that they're the best, and they're vain, and they think they're better than everyone else. And don't get me wrong, there are some that are those dicks. We all know them. But bodybuilders are more insecure than everyone else, really, because there's something when you bodybuilders, because you want to change your physique because you're unhappy with it, and then you become addicted to the fact, and you have to accept the fact that you're never going to be good enough, because
you're always striving for that perfect physique, aren't you? And it's like pretty much impossible to get that perfect physique. And that's a big, like a lot of bodybuilders from my experience that I've talked to, and a lot of fighters and things like that, they have that sort of body dysmorphia as well, don't they? Where they think they're smaller than they are, or like I've had it before where it's the opposite, where I look at myself and feel like I'm a fat fucker, like really fat. Like, yeah, I've got a few extra pounds, but I look at myself sometimes, I'm like, fucking hell, you fat cunt. And then my missus is like, what are you talking about? It's like, well, look at me. She's like, yeah, I'm looking at you. It's like, yeah, look.
See, that's the thing.
And then, yeah, there's a girl that I used to train when I did it was called Park Fit, which is a bit like an outdoor sort of military boot camp style training.
Okay.
And she was obviously, she had a really big body dysmorphia sort of problem where she always thought she was bigger than she was, and I was always telling her, look, you're tiny. And then she's like, well, I need to go on a diet. No, you don't. If anything, you need a good meal.
Yeah.
Like, and then I'd try and give her tips and things like that, and she would like do it for a week, and then she'd fall off, and then be like, I've eaten loads of Maltesers today. I feel like I'm really fat. It's like, oh, fucking hell. Okay. Here we go again.
Yeah. Mate, it's a hard thing to deal with, if I'm honest. I get it a lot, even now. Like, I'm not what I was. I use my body now, I class it as an instrument, not an ornament. So I actually like train to sort of perform now, to be able to endurance, pretty much.
Train for performance instead
of just sort of ready to do anything, anywhere, anytime. Do you know what I mean? Like, I never want my fitness to be, you know, something that would stop me, I don't know, like getting to my mum if she was like a mile away.
I think Tim Kennedy, who's a Green Beret and a UFC fighter, or former UFC fighter. He's got one, I can't remember the saying now, like, I train so hard, so I'm the hardest person to kill, or something like that. I'll have to quickly look up the fucking quote, because it's a really good quote. Give me 2 seconds while I Google this shit. Tim Kennedy quotes training. Not that one. Every time you train with the motivation and the purpose that you will be the hardest person someone ever tries to kill.
I like that. I like that a lot.
He's got his own clothing line with a group of Army Rangers from America. Ranger Up, I think it's called, the clothing line, and that is one of them that's on the back of the t-shirt. I was like, I want it.
Yeah.
But I'm a sucker for like a gym t-shirt, even if I'm not training.
I have so many t-shirts.
Like, my missus is like, why have you bought another t-shirt? They're so cool.
I know. They're just cool. Just the logo.
They're comfy.
It's got a skull on it, or it's got an axe. It's me. It's me. Mate, I'd tell you someone who's a bit of an inspiration to me, who's an ex-Marine, is you ever heard of Nathan Wood?
Yes, I have.
Mate, he's a savage. He is. I think this is his hat, actually, Beyond Strong. So he does, like, he's got some fitness like community where he's trying to get everyone to do, like, become fit. You know, great guy, but my God, have you seen his legs? Like, Jesus Christ, dude's got a set of wheels on him, but he's a savage. He's a big inspiration. If you need inspiration to go and train, just look at his page.
There's so many people out there like that, isn't there? That, like, you click on them and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go train because that guy is one motivating motherfucker.
Like
David Goggins.
Yes, right. It's him. You ever heard of Jocko Willink? I'm sure you have.
I love Jocko Willink.
I love Jocko. It's Instagram every day, 4:30, getting after it.
Getting after it.
And then it's the next
sweat
post will be, and a half later.
Aftermath. He's just so to the point as well. It's brilliant.
It's so motivating. Like I'm one of those people. I quite often I work long hours. I train hard, and I sort of run myself into the floor. And I'm like, oh, I'm tired today or whatever. And then I go over and look at someone like, have you ever heard of Cameron Haynes?
Yeah, he's another one. Keep hammering.
He runs a marathon a day.
We just become best friends.
I know. Mate, we could do this for hours.
Yeah. Fucking, I love Cameron Haynes, mate.
Same. Like, I watched this video of him, like, he did an Under Armour one with a wolf, whereas to promote his like hunting boots or whatever, he's like running in the wood and hunts down like an elk against a wolf, and it's just like, I need to go and train. I can't just fucking sit.
Mate, he is he's an absolute savage. He like has a regular job. That he works at, and then he goes and runs a marathon in his like lunch break.
Yeah, but anyone who thinks they do too much, look on YouTube for Cameron Haynes, the video called Time. That video is like, just everyone makes excuses. They don't have time to train, they don't have time to do this. He literally finishes work, drives 12 hours to go and hunt for the weekend, and then rocks back up at work. Like, he's a savage.
Unreal.
And he runs a marathon a day. So he runs 13 miles in his lunch break and then finishes the other sort of 13 after work, or runs at 2 a.m. in the morning. It's just next level. I think
it's just different. There's like regular humans, and then there's those people.
Yeah.
Who are definitely aliens.
Yeah.
They've definitely come from another planet.
Yeah, they do. Mate, there's like, I like to think of myself as quite a motivated, like driven person, and my mate's like, oh, you're a savage, and I'm like, no, you need to look at this guy. This guy's like, they make me look like a wimp, mate. But I love those people. I'm glad those people exist.
40-minute kettlebell session, and I'm like, fucking yes. And then I watch those guys, and I'm bollocks. They've made me tired just watching the YouTube clip.
Mate, I'm glad people like that exist.
Yes, definitely.
You know, and that's part of doing the ride as well. Like, we want to show people that you can help or get out and do more. Like,
yeah, definitely.
That's why I do some of the stuff that I do. Like, I have this little like voice in my head sometimes. I get this idea.
Mate, I think we're like the same person, because
you're just better looking with less facial hair.
Yeah, just worse beard. My missus is forever like having little niggles at me, because I'll get something in my head and then I'll do it, and then she's like, are you gonna consult with me before you do things like this? So like, the first time I did the Spartan race, I was like, well, I can do 5k easy, I can do the 10k, I might as well go for the beast and just do it. And then she's like, why have you signed up for that? And I went, don't know. Just have. And then the next one was which I literally posted on my feed the other day. It's 3 years. It was 3 years on the 15th, my boxing match. So I signed up to the white collar, but then I literally went into a fight camp for those 8 weeks. I went full savage mode. I actually got abs for the first time. I was like, yeah, let's do this. And then recently, unfortunately, we couldn't do it. It's going to be moved to next year. So I've got a charity football match coming up against Spurs Legends, which is the Granite Zero football team, which is made up of veterans and civvies. And I do believe one of my guests, Brad Pickett, UFC fighter, former UFC fighter, is going to play as well.
Yeah,
so I organised all that, and then obviously the pandemic happened. But she's like, "Why are you organising a football match?" It's like, because I want to do stuff. So I get fidgety, and I've got nothing to do. I'm like, I've got to do it.
That's it. I get like this little idea. So, like, we got like the first one was during lockdown. I sort of had to adapt my training the same as everyone else when the gym shut down.
Yeah.
So I got one of these sandbags from UK Supreme Fitness, which you can fill it with 2 25 kg like bags of sand, basically. So fill it with kiln dried sand. It's a 50 kg bag, and I was like, one day I was just like, I'm going to do a kilometre lunging this, and it gets into my head, and I'm like, when it's in my head, I have this little voice in the background going, if you don't do it, you're a pussy, you're a bitch. Like, it will niggle, and it'll niggle. And they come into my head, and it's like a light bulb. It's like when I did, I live in Wales, which is the smallest city in the UK, so where Hot Fuzz was filmed. I don't know if you've ever watched that film.
No shit, I watched that the other day.
Well, yeah, so I live in that city, which is right next to Glastonbury Tor. So my next idea was like, I wonder if I could climb up Glastonbury Tor with this 50 kg bag. So I had to do it. And then the next one was, I'm going to climb Penny Fan with that 50 kg sandbag. So that's the one that's currently in the back of my head right now. So I did it the other day with 25 kg as a bit of a warm up. And so yeah, that'll be coming up in the next few weeks. Like,
happy days, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I did the. Have you ever done the fan dance?
Yeah.
So another one of these stupid ideas, and this was a ill-prepared one, is I always wanted to do the fan dance, but sort of off my own back. I didn't want to sign up to one of the races or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just decided, whenever I do these things, I usually do them at some stupid, ungodly hour in the morning. So I thought, didn't really check what weight the SAS used, but it was around about 20 kilograms, I thought. So I think it's actually 17. I think it's 35 pounds. So it's around like 15 to 17 kilograms. Yeah, I thought we use sand, kiln dried sand at work for shot blasting. 25 kg sandbag. Thought I'll just chuck that in my bag. Chucked it in my bag with my water, with my food. Set off at 12 o'clock at night. Arrived there at 3 o'clock in the morning. Only to discover that they were doing the fan dance race that day, anyway, that weekend. So I set off in the dark in the pissing rain, only to discover when I got back that I had weighed it up to 32 kilograms. So I did the whole fan dance with 32 kilograms, which is nearly double the weight. That's the hardest challenge I've ever done, mate. Honestly, like I saw them when I was coming back over in the morning. The sort of fell runners, the unweighted ones, were coming up over.
Yeah.
As I was going down the other side, don't know if you know the route down to the phone box.
Yeah. I
could see the weighted guys were just starting, and the difference between my bag and their bag is they could run. I could barely walk. Mate, it was just one of those things.
We've all been there. So, yeah. Speaking of stupid weights to carry, so I don't know what it is in kilos. I know what it was in pounds when I went up there. So when we were on tour in Kandahar, there's where the fob was, which was Fob Luke. There was a mountain behind it, which is known as 3 Mile Mountain. And our flight commander, our boss, basically, he made up a shit excuse to go up there. Basically, he basically wanted to go up there to take a photo of his teddy bear to send to his missus. That was the actual reason. However, he said, his words, we're going to go up there to check for IDs. Right? Who's going to put an ID up a fucking mountain for a start? Dickhead. But anyway.
Before you carry on, I'm just going to say this story is amazing. That is amazing.
So we load up. So we had to have... He wanted us to have everything. So ECM, which is the electric countermeasures, just in case there is an ID up there, it blocks all the signals and all that. And then there's people like me that carry all the extra ammunition, rations, and all that sort of stuff. Body armor, helmet, rifle. My rifle was heavier anyway because I had a fucking underslung grenade launcher on it, which sounds cool.
It does sound cool as fuck, man.
It's annoying. I hated it. But yeah, so we set off and it was an absolute uber lick. I was fucking hanging out. At one point, I was using my rifle as a walking stick to get up there. We get back after he's taken his photo and we've had Somali photos of ourselves up there, obviously, because that's what we do. Combat camera crew.
Doing it for the ground.
We get back and I go, I'm gonna go into the gym area. I'm gonna weigh my kit. It was 135 pounds. I went up 3 Mile Mountain with a 9 stone person, basically. I was like, no wonder I'm hanging out.
Mate, that's an effort. That is. That's.
Yeah, so I basically had all my ammo. I think I was carrying some for the machine gunner as well, just to lighten him up, as you do. But then I forget that because I've got the grenade launcher, I've got all my little grenades that are in there as well. Uberlick, and I wonder why my ankles and my knees are fucked. I'm like, that's because I was literally a pack mule for 5.5 years.
But mate, like those things, like I always find when I'm doing these challenges, it kind of sucks at the time, but then after you're like,
oh, afterwards you're like, that was brilliant.
Yeah, that's it. Like, and that's, you know, people need to realize when I'm doing these stupid things, it usually hurts, usually a lot as well. And I love saying by Ross Edgley, it's like naive enough to start, but stubborn enough to finish. And that's pretty much.
Yeah, I like that.
Exactly what I do. Like, I always think poor missus, whenever I drag her on, like I dragged her up Penny Fan at 4 o'clock the other morning to climb up that 25 kg. I was like, you need to come and see a sunrise up there because it's beautiful. It's one of the nicest places.
Penny Fan's lovely, mate.
I was like, I'm going to carry
the strangest places in the world because it just decides what weather it fancies at the time.
Oh, it does. Like, we didn't really start the sunrise because there was a cloud inversion for the whole hour that the sun was coming up. But I was like, when I get there, I'm always like, this might be harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Like, I always think that it's going to be easy, and then I start to get nervous just before something. Actually, that one was pretty easy. So, and I'm pretty glad about that. 50 kg is going to be a bit of a challenge.
Fucking easy, that, mate.
Yeah.
It's coming up to a year since I last went up Penny Fan. To be fair, me and my brother did it last year. I actually thought he was going to collapse at one point because he's really badly asthmatic. So at one point he was like, I was like, can you breathe? And he's like, yeah, I'm all right. But he's one of the fittest people I know. But as soon as you're going up, obviously the oxygen level drops a little bit, but yeah, we got up there and literally 1 second blistering sunshine. It was beautiful. We were like fucking photos. Next minute, it's the wind, mate.
Oh, the wind between Fan White Big and then Penny Fan. So there's 2 peaks.
Yeah.
And there's a little dip in between. The wind that comes across that face is like,
it's mad. He lost his hat, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
We had taken up one of his dog. I can't remember whose dog it is. If it's his father-in-law's or if it's his, because we didn't take my dad's dog up because he's an old boy now. He wouldn't have made it up. Fucking ice cream man. Bastard. I don't know. I probably wouldn't be picked up on here, but yeah, I've seen a second ice cream. Feel like a kid again. Ice cream. Yeah, we didn't take his dog up because he thought he'd be a bit of a pain in the ass. He's got an Alaskan Malamute, is his dog.
Mate, I've got a story for you.
Just this fucking bear. But we took I think it was a King George Spaniel. I think it is a little tiny. She's lovely, but we almost lost her because of the fucking wind.
Oh, really? I thought you were going to say that they're really energetic, aren't they? Like,
yeah, they are.
Spaniels, they run up, back, look at you and go, come on, human. It's like,
yeah. Well,
what are you doing?
My old man's dog, he's a Springer Collie cross, so he's got all the fucking energy, or he used to. He's an old boy now. I would take him out for a run when I lived at home. I used to take him out for a run, and that he would be like, whatever, mate. You want fancy going again? Or it's like, no, you little cunt. But the only way we would knacker him out is take him down the river and just batter fucking tennis balls in there. And then he'd be knackered then. But then he was trying to get him home. You just sit there and you go, I ain't going anywhere. It's like, you cunt.
Yeah. Speaking of the Malamute, so my friend has got like a beautiful Malamute. It was a puppy. And I seem to be, I don't have a dog, but I sort of love dogs and I've always wanted a Malamute. So, but anytime any of my friends are going on holiday, I always end up looking after their dogs. So I had my friend's Malamute, who was quite young at the time, he was under a year, decided to take him up Penny Farm. Beautiful looking dog. Anyway, halfway up, decides to see a sheep. And there was a lot of wild sheep up there. Right?
Yeah.
And Malamutes and Huskies, when they see something they want, they go. So, dickhead here, I had to go and chase him. I chased him about, I reckon, 2 miles off the track. And then I couldn't find him, and I started to get worried. You know, when you have that sinking feeling, you're like, fuck, I've lost my mate's dog.
Yeah.
I look at the sheep. The sheep are looking at me, and I'm like, where the fuck is he? And I see he's run back to the track, and he's sat there waiting for me. Like, you, mate, you
little fuck.
Yeah, there's a really funny photo of him on my Instagram where he'd been, I'm sort of like just carrying him. He was big, but I could still carry him, and he's literally like this fuck off goat wolf just sat in my arms, like, because he'd been told off, and he's there like, oh, mate, amazing, love dogs.
I call him the bear wolf. I call him my brother's dog, Jack. It's funny, every time we FaceTime like that and I can see him in the background, I'll make like a howling noise and then he howls back at me. It's quite funny.
There's no bad feeling than thinking you're a wolf with another dog.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely a wolf. Yeah, I'm the same. I love dogs and I've always wanted one. But the hours I work, like I do 12-hour shifts and it would be my dog. It wouldn't be the kid's dog. It wouldn't be Mrs. Dog, and it wouldn't be fair. But one day.
Absolutely. That's exactly where I'm at with it.
If I could take it to work with me, I would. But yeah, not the case.
They're a lot of they're a big commitment, to be fair.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you a question actually. How have you found lockdown for yourself?
Have I found? Sorry.
How have you dealt with it? Because everyone's sort of. I was in the same position as you in the sense that I could still work. So I've been actually like fine. I mean, if I'd been chucked in home and told I had to stay there, I'd be like that lion in the cage that just like wanders up and down, looking ready to kill someone as soon as the door.
Yeah, I've been all right. Because my life didn't really change. Like everyone's, and I sort of got the ump with people because they were like, "Oh, I'm fucking at home." It's like, I'd love to be at home. I'd love to be paid to be at home.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's so boring. Well, dude, fucking go for a walk. You're allowed to go for a walk. Work out. But yeah, I found it was at my work. So my work is I do site security basically, and we look after, I think it's 280 acres of site, and usually it's buzzing. Like all the offices are filled with people, the whole area is busy. And then when the lockdown first happened, it was like a ghost town. It was the strangest thing, and it was like, this is weird. I don't like it. I don't like change.
Yeah, I get that.
But I was a lot like a lot of people where when it first started happening, I was like, this is bollocks. I'm not having it. It's as bad as they're making out. And then it's like, oh, actually, it is.
Yeah, see, I don't want to go too much into this subject because I'm pretty sure I'd upset quite a few people with my opinion on it. So I'll keep it very
upset whoever you want.
Yeah, no, I can. I upset people on the daily. I have quite a big distaste of humans most of the time, but I try and keep it under wraps. So actually, when we got into lockdown, I was like, I don't have to see anyone, so I'm actually
I'm like that. Happy days. So it's like my missus always says. She's like, "Are you gonna come out and speak to people?" I was like, "No, I don't like people." It's like unless I know you, I'm not going to go out my way to like have a like. on the school run, most of the people think I'm just a grumpy old bastard that picks up his kid. Unless I've had a conversation with them before, I'm not going to go, "You right? How's your kid?"
It's fun.
We're
very similar. We're very similar.
Put my headphones in, and I'm not going to talk to anyone.
That's it. People always in the gym, even like that I've been going to for like a fairly long time. Everyone says to me, "I always thought you were just a miserable fuck." I'm like, "No, I'm in here to train.
Yeah,
I'm not here to make conversation." Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we have that at the gym I use. I call them the vest brigade. So they put their vests on, they put their training gloves on. They're built like a pepper army. So I hate them anyway.
Do they check their abs in the mirror every 5 minutes?
Oh yeah. Well, no, they've got no abs, and they've got a couple of bits of cotton hanging out of their vest. But they still look at themselves, going, "Yeah." It's like, you've got no guns. Stop it. Also, do a whole rep, please.
Yes, please.
Lower your weight. Do a rep.
This really annoys me. Is like all these fancy fucking band exercises and like just do the basics.
We're gonna open a can of worms in a minute.
I know. No, don't let the Pandora's
because
box.
We're definitely gonna get on. I've mentioned it in a few fucking podcasts though, and you just said about the band fucking workouts, right? So you're talking about the fitness chicks, really, aren't you?
Oh, don't. Oh, I can't do it.
I discussed it the other day with Shah, with Shah from the Blonde and Strong podcast, because she trains like a regular person, and we were discussing the fitness chicks that have clearly got a trainer and a dietitian and what have you, but still just train their ass and legs.
Yeah.
And what really pisses me off, right? Yes, you've got a good ass, big legs. It's fine. Everybody likes to look at that. What pisses me off the most is when they do a pose when they're like doing like gun pose, and it's like, what? You haven't got any. Stop it. Also, the next fucking live Instagram I have that says booty blast or abs and fucking legs. It's like, you're supposed to be a trainer. Are you going to do any upper body at all ever? Or full body workout? Or no?
No.
Okay.
Most of them just want to get their ass out on Instagram.
Yeah.
Although I can't say much.
Like me and my brother have always said they're hooking for likes.
Yeah.
You're hooking is what you're doing.
That's what this fucking TikTok's about.
Like,
and if you're a kid, like children, I can understand it's genuinely funny.
Yeah.
But these women that use it to be a fucking hoe winds me up something chronic.
You're hoeing. You're a hoe though.
Just because it's someone else's voice playing over the video of you slut dropping, it doesn't mean that they're the slut. It means you're the. Yeah.
What? The ones that really, really, really get on my fucking nerves are the ones that have this super long caption like, "Be ready for life," blah 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 blah, blah. Be motivated, and have this big long spiel that's about this long. Nobody's reading that, by the way. They're looking at your ass.
Yeah.
You're sat in a tiniest bikini I've ever seen, with your fucking minge almost hanging out. Nobody's reading it. They're liking it because you've got a big bum.
Fucking right. How many guys, right? We're both men. I just scroll through like that. I mean, I don't like girls' photos anyway because my missus would probably cut my balls off. But
yeah,
like, I don't like that sort of thing anyway. Sort of promoting yourself in that way, I think it's cheap and it's nasty and whatever, and it's degrading. Because I'm quite a traditional.
But they're all feminists, so.
Oh, I know, and men are slimy and deceptive, and we're everything that's bad. But they can wear heels to make them look 3 inches taller. They can wear a fake bra that makes like a bra.
I wish I could wear heels to make me 3 inches taller.
Yeah, I can't deal with it. But then again, one of my mates did comment on one of my last posts. The one I sort of did some leg exercises outside my man cave, and he was like, I was doing some hamstring exercises, and he was like, "Are you getting your ass out on Instagram for likes now?" So I'm a bit guilty of it myself by the looks of it.
Oh, sometimes it just pops out. It's like
It does. I can't.
You put all the hashtags in there so that everybody sees it. Please double tap me. Well, my brother did a good post the other day, and it was after because my brother does his own podcast as well called Obsessive Conversive. It's quite in depth and what have you, unless he's talking to me, and then it's just random. But he I can't remember who he was talking to, but they basically came up with, it's your social media, just do what you want to do. It's yours. Like, yeah, obviously these chicks, it's theirs, but they're hooking for likes. So my brother basically put, it's my Instagram, I can do what I like. Here's a picture of a tree. I thought it was cool.
I love that.
Just had a picture of a black and white tree. I was like, that's brilliant.
It's definitely
my head.
Social media is something I really struggle with, and it sounds weird, but that's because, again, but up until a couple of months ago, I was private always. When I was bodybuilding, I had an open profile because it like benefited me. But then when I got out of bodybuilding, I've always had a private profile, and it was actually other people that told me to sort of promote my sort of ideas and the things that I do, because they said it could be beneficial to people. I really struggle with it, man. I don't like, I'm sort of doing things that make me feel really uncomfortable, even to the fact of like being invited on here. It's all new and strange.
Yeah, I do that to people.
Yeah,
I tell you, someone who was actually really shocked about me asking them was Phil Turner.
Really?
I sent him a message because I knew he was the one of the directors of SAS Who Dares Wins. He does the ambulance show, which is brilliant. And then he did obviously the Gypsy King documentary. And I sent him a message, and he went, "Haven't you got like more famous people to talk to?" I went, "That's not what my show's about. It's talking to whoever." And I went, "And I think your work is brilliant. Don't put yourself down." It's like he was like, "All right," and it was one of the best conversations I had as well. It's like,
that's the thing. It's like I said at the very beginning of this podcast, mate. We've lost the art of communication, right?
Yeah.
What I love about podcasts, I got into podcasts a few years ago. Actually, London Real was the first one I ever watched. Don't know if you've ever heard of that one.
No, I haven't.
Mate, honestly, like there's a interview with Dorian Yates. So 600.
He's a legend.
Yeah, he's a fucking legend, right? There is a video podcast that he did, London Real, and I promise you, that is the thing that changed my life. like, I advise you.
I'm just going to quickly hold that thought. I'm just going to turn a light on. I'm getting a bit dark in here. Oh.
Better. We have light.
Look
I'm
at
actually
that.
in the fridge, so I've got the daylight.
Yeah.
In my cave.
Well, I've got like all my windows are covered with like memorabilia and stuff. So, because when I usually do it in the day, it gets too much glare. So I covered it up, and then it gets too dark. So I can't win.
As I was saying, like at the start, we've sort of lost the art of communication. What I like about podcasts is that you can actually find out what someone's about if you sit down and have a decent conversation. And that's why I missed it during lockdown. And I started phoning my friends or FaceTiming them.
Yeah.
You actually get to have a decent conversation and like actually find out what's going on in their life rather than just whipping them a text.
I do it all the time with I've known him for 31 years, I believe. My best mate from back home. He's been on the show a couple of times. But I always say, every time I phone him, we get into these long conversations. And I'm like, mate. He's like, what? And I went, I should have pressed record. He was like, why? And I went, this would have been a brilliant podcast.
I've got a couple of friends like that.
Yeah,
my friend, we go down rabbit holes.
Yeah, I love a rabbit hole. But I only got into podcasts It would have been a couple of years ago. The first one I really listened to was The Fighter and the Kid, because they fucking cracked me up. They made me laugh, and I like that sort of thing. Then obviously got into the benchmark Joe Rogan. I enjoy him, but I found as I got older, I'm starting to morph into my old man, which is quite funny. I used to take the piss. So every time we used to like drive anywhere, he'd put things like Talk Sport on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why you put some music on?
Yeah.
Literally, I find myself now while I'm driving around in the work vehicle, I'm either listening to a podcast or I've got something like LBC or Talk Sport on, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so old right now.
It's happened. Yeah. It's the same.
Like the only times I'll put music on is if like I'm in the shower or whatever. I'll put Oasis on, or if I'm cycling home, I'll put music on because it's a bit better to cycle to, especially if a fucking alley tune comes on and you're like, yes, I can pedal like fuck to this. Or if I'm in the gym, I'll have music on, but most of the time I'm like listening to other people have a conversation.
So when I said about my job that I was doing where I got bored and got into bodybuilding, I'm still doing that job, or I've gone back to it. I've done several other things, but because I'm so used to it, I actually spend my day listening to either audiobooks to try and learn new things, or podcasts, or some heavy metal music to make my day more interesting. But that's all I do, like just podcasts, audiobooks, because I'm forever wanting to learn more and whatever. But honestly, the interview with Dorian Yates on London Real, I'll send you the link after.
Do it, mate.
It set me down the rabbit.
His interview with Rogan was good as well. His interview with Rogan was good.
Mate, Rogan's done some incredible interviews.
He generally is the benchmark. Like
he is by a long shot, and some of his friends hilarious. Do you ever listen to his
Head and Shoulders?
Where they do the he gets his friends over.
I love the fight companion, mate. When they get high and smashed on whiskey and don't talk about fights at all, really.
Have you seen?
I just like
the meme that's going
Eddie
around.
Bravo. They'll pull out some conspiracy theory and let Eddie Bravo just go off on one.
I know.
Like, brilliant.
He's that friend that you would love, but you'd never want to introduce him to a girl because he'd go off on one, wouldn't he?
Oh, I've got a lad that I used to serve with. Neil Uddin, his name is. He's a former RAF Reg gunner. Now then he went and joined the parachute regiment. His Instagram feed is literally full of conspiracy theories, and I literally will just put like question mark, like his story will pop up, and I'll just put a question mark to it. What are you talking about, mate? And then he's like, look into it. It's like, oh, fucking hell. I went, do I need to get some marijuana in right now? Do I need some weed?
Yeah. No, let's just get on the plane, go to Amsterdam, and get on the mushrooms.
Yeah.
Because that's where the real answers are.
Said, do I need to get on these magic mushrooms that you're taking? Clearly, no. Look into it. The latest one was something about all these famous people drinking the blood of the young.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, fuck off, will you?
some people love a conspiracy theory. I mean, there is
anything that's.
I think there are some conspiracy theories.
They just can't think of one that they're like, yeah, that's a good one. I'll stick with that. That could be true. It has to be all of them.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's never like, oh, do you know what? Actually, I do think that 9/11 could have been, organised. But then they also believe that every other conspiracy theory that follows, even if that's what
takes away from their credibility, I think. Because sometimes they're onto something, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I could see that." Oh, but you think the Earth's flat?
Yeah, don't get me started. Honestly, if I'm ever feeling a little bit low, if I'm ever just feeling a bit fed up with social media, and I just need a little bit of a pick me up, I go onto Twitter and I put in #flat Earth. Literally changes my mood. That there are people out there that still believe it.
Yeah, I know.
It's hilarious.
Have you ever watched the Beyond the Curve documentary?
Yes, that's exactly it.
I just love it at the end where they literally prove themselves wrong, and they go,
wrong, and they're like,
well, we're gonna keep trying and find something else.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
But in that video, that one of the main guys even said that he would find it extremely difficult to disprove it because he would then lose all his friends and family. And I can understand that that's appealing. It's like a cult, isn't it?
Oh, it's 100% a cult.
Yeah. I mean, they're all fucking idiots, but like it just.
I literally went from laughing at it, like, and then I would get really angry.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are you that stupid?
I know.
And then I think to myself, why am I getting angry over these idiots? Just laugh at them instead.
Have you ever watched the Joe Rogan, his latest Netflix special?
Yes.
When he talks about #vegan cat.
Yes.
Oh my God. I died inside.
Well, hey, speaking of fucking vegan cat, dickhead Lewis Hamilton making his dog a vegan.
You are kidding me.
Nah, did you not know that?
No, I didn't.
It's all over my fucking Instagram, all over my Facebook. It's like it was like a huge story on like the Lad Bible for some reason, and it was like Lewis Hamilton's dog is now fully vegan. It's like, well, that dog is going to die.
I genuinely have a distaste to that. Like that angers me inside because that's just cruel.
Yeah.
Like,
stop giving him a plant and let him do what it's supposed to do and eat some fucking meat.
All those vegan cats, whatever, they all end up dying young, and it's just not healthy. It's not what they're designed to do. Like, I have my opinion on vegans and like veganism, but for the most part, they are genuinely nice people, and they think that they're doing something like commendable. Yeah. If they're doing it for the right reasons and they do their research, do whatever makes you happy. Like everyone should. Like, if I had the opportunity, if I lived in America, I think I'd probably hunt my own food. Like, I would love to do that. I think that's.
I would love to go out and hunt an elk.
Yeah, me too. I don't want to do it with a gun though. I want to do it with a bow. Which one of the guys on Lakota, Andrew, who's someone you should really talk to actually, because he's just a badass. I'll show you his profile. It's just fucking guns and bows and. Oh, mate, he's just a cool guy. He like does a lot of archery, and like I would love the opportunity to do that. But with vegans, it's the ones that have to project it onto you, or they patronize you, thinking that they're above you, or that they like animals more than you. And what really irritates me with anything is if you're going to come to me with a point or like an opinion, and you're going to be firm on that opinion, do your fucking research.
Yeah.
Like, have the knowledge. Like, don't rock up and tell me that you love animals more than me and you're carrying around a leather bag and wearing leather shoes and, Definitely. Oh, man, I like, don't preach to me. Like, if you want to be a vegan, absolutely, 100%, I'm behind it. Like, but just do your research and don't project onto anyone else. It's the same with anything, though. Like,
yeah,
everyone can do whatever they want, You can believe the Earth's flat, and I might laugh inside.
I will laugh at you if you think the Earth's flat.
Yeah, that might be the strongest.
But if that's your
if it makes you happy, float your boat. Like, do you know what? Everyone should have the right to do whatever they want to do.
If you're happy, go and find the fucking ice wall.
Absolutely. And if you find Darius and the dragons, I'm in. Yeah. let's go Game of Thrones on it. Yeah. Mate, it's yeah.
I think I might be the only person in the world that doesn't like Game of Thrones.
I'm just gonna end this phone call right now. Yeah. See you later, man.
Well, it's one of those, isn't it? I do it to people all the time. If there's something that I watch like religiously and think it's a brilliant, and they say, for example, like I wind my eldest up because I'll say, I fancy watching Star Wars or something like that, and she's like, I don't like Star Wars, Daddy, and it's like, well, sorry, kid, we can't be friends. But if I'm honest, I think it's because I never got the chance to watch it properly. Because usually if I'm watching it or try to watch it, my missus would be there and she's like, I don't really get it. And then I'm like, it's got dragons in it.
It's one of the coolest fucking
I
shows.
I am a closet Uber geek, so I'm sure if I sat and watched it, I'd probably like it.
I was really late to the party with it. I was a bit like you. I'm one of those people. I try not to follow the trends. Like, sort of.
Oh, it took me a while to watch Breaking Bad. Put it that way.
I still haven't watched it. I've watched bits. It bores me. I can't get past the first
friends.
2 seasons. There we go.
We started off this podcast as best mates now.
I haven't got past it, but I waited until all 7 seasons of Game of Thrones was out, and then I bought the box set and just binge watched the whole lot.
Yeah,
and then
I'm a bit of a binge watcher.
Yeah,
like my brother recommended Ozark to me, and he was coming on to season 3 when he recommended me. I've now finished it, waiting for the next one to come out, and he's like, "Oh, I haven't finished 3 yet." It's like, what?
I am a massive binge watcher. There are a couple of series on Netflix that I have genuinely taken days off work to watch, like Homeland being one of them. Have you ever watched that?
Yeah. Well, I lost track. I think it was during the 3rd season
when Brody died.
Yeah, I was like,
It did go. It definitely lost you for a bit, but then it got incredible again. And mate, honestly, it's one of the only series.
I'll have to restart it, I think.
It's one of the only series that ended it fucking perfectly. They couldn't have wrote it any better. It was one of those where you go, like, Game of Thrones ended pretty poorly. I think we were all a little bit disappointed. But then again, what did we expect? We hyped it up so much and everything.
Yeah.
But with that, it was just bravo. The writers just got it right, mate. It was incredible.
Talking of endings,
Prison Break was another one that I took time off work to watch as well.
What was that? Sorry,
Prison Break.
I've never watched it, if I'm honest.
Oh god, you were doing so well. We were such good friends at the start.
Yeah, yeah. The one that I really properly binge watched, and it was during literally when I was on leave after being on tour. I managed to nick from the Jingly market, which is basically the Afghanistan market. I nicked the entire Sopranos box set.
Oh, cool. I haven't watched that.
That I highly recommend.
Okay.
However, I'm just going to say this because I'm not going to spoil. I would have said that about the ending, but obviously you haven't seen it, so I won't spoil it.
I've been told that it's awful. The ending.
It is if you don't understand where it came from.
Right.
So
okay.
There's a few episodes where he talks about certain things, and when you realise what he's talking about, you're like, oh,
yeah,
that makes sense.
That's why I've watched a couple of series twice, because the second time you get things.
I'm not gonna lie, when I first watched it, it ends, and I was like, what? That's bollocks.
Yeah. Feel like you were wrong.
I'm not having it. Like out of context, Eddie Hearn. No, I'm not having this.
When everyone went mental about Lost, didn't they? The way that ended.
Yes.
And they were devastated. People were crying. They were like,
yeah.
I've so much of my life for this program.
They literally wasted life. Box sets waste lives, they're brilliant.
They are. They're much more entertaining than listening to the bullshit on the news. Let's be honest. Because at least it's entertaining lies or acting as opposed to.
Yeah, I've just finished Kingdom on Netflix. That's
he's a handsome fucker, isn't he? The guy in Kingdom. He's good looking.
What's his fucking name?
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
Frank Grillo.
That's it.
For some reason, I had Mark Ruffalo in my head, and I was like, "That's definitely not him." Mark Grillo. Hey, is he on all the steroids or?
Oh, I know. Well,
he's like 50 years old, and he is ripped to shit. I'm like, you're on all of them. Yeah. He's gone to Mexico and gone, I want all your supplements. Give them to me.
Speaking of, have you watched Vikings?
Yep.
I
love Vikings.
First sort of 2-3 seasons were unreal. They're still
when Ragnar was in it, it was
mate. I mean, we all fancied him a little bit, didn't we? Those eyes, those blue eyes.
Oh, he is a handsome motherfucker.
Oh, he is.
I'm not saying I'm gay, but I'd definitely go down on him. What?
in that scene where they have him and Lagatha, and then they invite oh shit, what's his name? The priest. Oh, what's his name?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, when they invite him to come join, I would have definitely joined.
Yeah, I would have gone. Yeah. What, with you, Lagatha? 100%. Ragnar, you're there too? Yep. Is it Thursday? Yep. Man love Thursday. That's fine.
He's definitely beautiful enough for it, let's be honest. And he's such a man.
Hey, I loved Vikings that much. That was my walkout music.
Was it?
Fight. Yeah. Theme.
That's awesome.
I was like, yeah.
That is fucking cool. So, mate, I want to ask you another question.
Do it.
Your mental health issues.
Yeah.
How do you manage them? Like now, how would you say that you've sort of, other than voicing out on this, are there any other sort of avenues you've taken?
Yeah, actually. So I've actually noticed the obviously the podcast itself is helping. I do take antidepressants to help balance me as well. But what I notice is if I'm not training or for example, because I cycle to work, so it's basically 14 miles a day that I do on the bike.
Awesome.
If I don't ride or if I don't train throughout the week, I start to I feel as though I'm on my way down, and then my missus is like, "Are you okay? You're very short. You're very not with it." If I'm training and I'm cycling and or if I've got a podcast in the week, I'm a lot more myself, I would say. Yeah. So I've got my own I've got a couple of little hashtags that I use on my Instagram and whatnot. One of them is one team, one effort. That was a quote from my old warrant officer. He used to say it. It's one team, one effort. Go out, have a beer, sure. But the other one is break the body to fix the mind. That has always been I love that a lot. Like a little mantra, of mine. Basically, when I first left and before I was diagnosed, didn't quite feel myself. So I would go to what I call therapy, which was go to the gym and deadlift all the weight, or go and destroy the punch bag or something like that. And it was always enjoying my therapy session, break the body to fix the mind. So that's always been one of my little things. And the other one, which is sort of from either, I'm pretty sure it's Jim Jones, one of their sayings. My brother used it as well, which is redemption through suffering or something along those lines. Yeah. Pain, suffering, and redemption. I think their little thing is, and it's a big thing. I think fitness and mental health go hand in hand. I think I discussed it a few times on the podcast. Like you've mentioned earlier, you might be suffering and hating it and in a lot of pain while you're doing it. But all those all the positive endorphins at the end, you're like, I've completed that. Yeah. And I've said it a few times on here as well. I say it to the clients whenever I took Park Fit or Progression Fitness, whichever one I was taking. I will always say to my clients, you're going to hate me for an hour. You're going to fucking hate me for an hour. But at the end of it, you're going to thank me and say that was a good session. And they're like, oh, yeah, whatever. And then I fucking give them all the burpees. And they're like, I hate burpees. And I'm like, do you know what? Burpees hate you. But yeah, that's basically how I sort myself out.
You use don't you have a CBD oil that sponsors the?
Yes. Yeah, is another one.
It is. It's a great one.
So Infusion CBD actually reached out to me, and we had a good conversation, and they sent me out some stuff. At the minute, I'm not taking the oil through the prepare. I've been using the muscle rub because my knees and ankles and my hips, because I'm so fucking old at 33.
I feel you, mate. I'm 32.
33, body of a 65-year-old. But yeah, it works fucking wonders, mate. And I highly recommend it to all the listeners, all my followers. I put it on every post. They're always tagged in it. It works. And like I say at the beginning of every podcast, if I do a little advert for them, it helps with depression, anxiety, PTSD, eating disorders, sleep disorders. It's wonderful.
The one thing that I noticed with it, that I used CBD oil, the only problem with it is it's such an expensive, or it feels expensive, even though the benefits are so worth it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you pay whatever the money is, and it's a tiny little fucking vial of, and it tastes like ass.
They're not,
unless you get a flavoured one, but
the good ones are not. Then they don't taste good, because if they're true like hemp oil, it tastes like
yeah.
So
I remember getting some hemp protein powder from Onnit when I was like really into Joe Rogan and like, I'm gonna get all the Onnit stuff.
Please tell me you got one of his gorilla kettlebells, because I really want one.
I might get one just because obviously Granite Zero is a fucking ape.
Yeah.
I might just get one so I can just. But yeah, that I do want one. But yeah, I tried the Onnit hemp force protein, and I was like, this is disgusting. I'm sure it's fucking brilliant, like protein powder, but make it taste better.
Yeah.
Speaking of protein powder, Combat Fuel is delicious.
Don't tell me that you've got them on board as well.
Combat Fuel loved me, mate.
Mate, I love Combat Fuel. Like, they're got a little joke going on with Stuart Lakota, because both of us absolutely adore them, and they've picked up. So T, who I don't know if you know, Pyramid Coaching, she's part of Team Lakota, and a good friend of mine, Jono, Combat Hustle. Guy does a lot of climbs. He's an ex-veteran. He's someone that we're actually thinking of doing a podcast together to talk about some of his issues, actually, because he's got some stuff he wants to get off his chest. So we were thinking about doing something, but he's just been picked up by Combat Fuel, and their stuff is brilliant. They're one of the only supplement companies that so coming from like a bodybuilding background, I've made all the fucking mistakes that you can think of with supplement companies, you know, taking like CLA to lose fat and stuff like that, and you buy into all the packaging, or you buy into whatever Kai Green's taking, or Jay Cutler. Combat Fuel actually put out, I think it's Coach Dean Hammond, isn't it?
Yeah.
His videos are just honest. They're just true. It's accurate information. And they say, a lot of people, like, if you've got intelligence and you've got knowledge, you're quite happy to give it out. And they are happy to give out knowledge, because there's no fucking secrets. And that's what people seem to like. They're all looking for that secret. And the coaches and the people that don't have all the secrets are the ones that are hiding the information, saying, oh, you need to buy this, you know. They're not. They're just straight down the line. Their ingredients are really good.
Tell you what, when I first got it, I bought the wrong one when I first got mine. I got the banana flavour, right? And I was like, oh, I don't really like bananas. Fucking drank it, and I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah. And
then I got the strawberries and cream, and I was like, this is amazing.
I use their pre-workout at the moment. I don't usually like pre-workouts. I don't use them too much. I usually just use coffee, and
I just use coffee, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but like with all this training that I'm doing at the moment, like for the cycle and trying to still maintain some sort of mass on my physique, like I just felt like I needed a bit of an extra kick. Mate, it's amazing. I love it. It's a really good product.
They're really good guys as well. So when I got my t-shirts done, There's one there. They helped that out as well. So on the back of the t-shirt, literally, I wouldn't have minded if they had it on the back itself or on the arm or whatever. But it's literally just in the collar. They've just got combat fuel written on it. And I was like, and they helped. They helped out. They helped sort out the design, because I had the logo, which is basically that one there. And they were like, "Oh, we could tweak that a little bit so it looks a bit better." And I was like, "Oh yeah, crack on." They're fucking brilliant.
They do seem like
no word of a lie. Like every now and then, I'll get a message pop up on my in my inbox, and it's like, "Oh, we're just checking in, mate. Just make sure you're all right." But, yeah, cheers.
There are some good people out there. Like,
yeah, the world needs more people that like that.
Yeah,
that will just randomly send you a message to say, "Are you all right?"
Yeah, that's it. And like one of the things that me and Johnny have spoke about a lot is that, like, this whole social media thing. Like I said, I struggle with it, but it's really to like help other people. Like, as cliche as that sounds, like if us doing something stupid or like getting out into the mountains and taking a picture and putting some stoic quote beneath it allows someone to then go, "Oh, I'm going to do that," and then they see the benefits of it. It's definitely it's worth it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like which is one of the reasons why I went up Penny Fan. Can't remember whose profile it was, but I saw like obviously the stone thing with Penny Fan and the height of it and whatnot, and I was like looking at it. I thought that's an alley picture. I want to go up there and take my Granite Zero flag and do a post. That was basically my goal, was to go up there and just do a post with my flag to say, "Look, I'm a fucking Penny Fan." And luckily as well, the wind was blowing. Yeah. So as I held the flag up, it's not gone all floppy. The wind's taking it, so I'm like, "Yeah,
that's alley
as fuck."
Well, your mental health, actually, like how you dealt with it, because that's like you said, you know how you use training and like exerting yourself in some way that seems to make you feel a bit better. Yeah. It's one of the reasons that I go and climb mountains, actually, and why I try and get as many people to do it as I can, because I find the hustle and bustle of life and being like surrounded by quick information, social media, adverts, everything, like you just get combusted, and you get like I said, I'm quite stoic, so I don't really let things affect me too much. But even for someone like myself, it still gets to you, and you get like combusted, and you need that headspace. The mountains are my answer to any of my problems, because they make you feel so small. You know, like it makes you it puts everything into perspective. It levels me. It's like living in like built up cities like most people are. If you go out at night, you've got all the like street lamps or whatever, you're blinded from like Mother Nature. And if you go out into the countryside, I'm really fortunate that I live where I do. If I take a few miles out of where I live and look up, you can see a starlit sky, and it just makes you put everything into perspective. And it's the same in the mountains. It's
nice, and it like sort of centers you again. I know there's a lot of people that talk about meditation and yoga and things like that. I've got an ape mind, so I can't sit still. I can't just meditate, because my mind. I'm sure I could train it to do it, but I'm like, I'm bored now. If I go out, I'm quite lucky, so I'm pretty near the city, or town or whatever it is Maidstone is, but we actually live in a village just outside. So I live in a small village called Eccles, and at the back, literally where I am now in my shedio, out the back is all the fucking barley fields.
Oh, nice.
And I've got quite a few photos of it, and I just like take a photo and go, "This view, like village life is brilliant." And I'll sit out there some weekends, and my missus gets the ump, because I enjoy a cigar every now and then. So I'll go out and I'll have a glass of whiskey and a cigar, and she hates it because I come in and I stink. But I just sit out the back of my shed and just look out in the field and like just relax.
Mm.
and it's nice. And I'm not used to living in big cities or things like that. I literally lived in, well, Hereford most of my life, and that is a tiny city, not as small as where you're from, but it's still tiny and very much country. That's why you're talking like that. You're right.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to the Air Force, I lived at RAF Honington, which is just outside Bury St Edmunds, literally in the middle of nowhere. The Air Force camp is.
Yeah.
So I've always sort of been out of the way of the hustle and bustle, which is why I hate London. So when I was doing my surveillance work, I hated going into London because like we discussed earlier, I hate people.
Yeah.
Especially people that live in London because, hey, guess what? You're rude.
Yeah.
So rude.
So rude.
Hate it.
One of my favorite quotes.
Where I am, it's just it's lovely. Like,
yeah,
I can't fault it. And
I'm originally from Bath, so it's another sort of like really beautiful part of like Somerset, like, or North Dorset, I think it's classed
North
as Bath,
Dorset.
Yeah, North Dorset. So that's why I've got a bit.
Not everything is murder.
Oh, I love the fact that you've watched that the other day. Yeah, so I'm even like I would love to say that I'd go back to Bath, but I became very fortunate and moved to Wells, which is like my smaller version of Bath. It's such a pretty little city.
Yeah.
I couldn't deal with like living. I lived in Bristol for a year, and I can't do it. People are just not nice. They're all living in their own lanes, which is fine. I understand that, but just the common courtesy of just being polite. And this is one of the things that scares me about this pandemic now. Like, again, I won't go into it too much, but now that we're all being told that we have to wear face masks, what concerns me of that is you can't smile at anyone. Like, if you and I saw each other and we're walking towards each other, but you had a mask on and I had a mask on, I'd look at you a little bit like I'd be a bit on edge, like the same as I would if anyone.
You don't know who's behind the mask, do you?
Exactly. Like, whereas when your face is uncovered, you can give someone a smile. Like I said earlier, when I was bodybuilding, I had to compensate for the fact that I had a bigger physique and people looked at me like I'd be an idiot or like aggressive or whatever.
Yeah.
And I compensated by just a friendly smile. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, we're not going to have that opportunity to do that. And that worries me because people are already on edge. People are already like scared, or they're wound up because they've like, lost their job, or they're not earning as much, or they can't provide for their family. Like that's what's worrying me now about this pandemic. It's worrying times for that sense, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Mate, it's a whole nother like discussion. That is.
This is a whole nother podcast, mate.
Yeah. Let's not go down the rabbit hole today. There's a few rabbit holes we've diverted.
We'll do that next time. But yeah, back to the uniqueness of like living in small towns, cities, villages. Like, I've always said to the missus that I would love like a unique sort of country sort of cottage type house. That would do me down to the ground, where I could have my little man shed at the bottom, a bit like I've got now. But she's very family orientated, so she wants to live near her mum and dad.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, we're not far away from them now. We're about 8 minutes away. That's how close the village is. Apart from it looks like it's fucking miles away, but it is miles away. But you know what I mean. Fuck no, knock myself out of me, Mike. But I'm quite at home being away from people. Like, don't get me wrong, I love coming down to the shed and having a conversation. Like, if you were actually in here, that would be fine, But like I said, I don't like the hustle and bustle. I don't like people in general. I walk around with quite a grumpy face on. But my funny thing is, so my missus is from Kent, so anything above Watford, the Watford Gap is north. So she's like, "You're a grumpy northerner." I'm like, I'm not even northern. I'm from the West Midlands, soon. She's like, you're just a grumpy northerner. I went, well, consider I'm from the west of the country, not north, but whatever. I'll just be a grumpy westerner then.
I worked security for several years as I ran a door company, so I ended up working in a nightclub, or on the door of a nightclub, quite a pretentious nightclub where all the footballers and that go, and quite a nice venue. But you learn very quickly, the same as you, to wear a sort of fuck off, don't talk to me face, because otherwise you guys coming up to you saying, bro, how much do you bench? Or you've got
how much do you bench? How much do you weigh?
Yeah. Or you've got some drunk, silly girl that wants to talk to you. So I just learned very quickly how to have that, where I'm just like, just don't talk to me.
There's a lad that I went to school with. He ended up working. I think he does CP work now, but he did a lot of bodybuilding. Ollie Skirm, his name is. He's a fucking absolute. I discussed a couple of podcasts ago. He doesn't have a fault. Like, he looks like a Greek god, like very handsome, got a nice beard, nice hairline. He's packing down low as well. He's got a bit of a schlong on him.
It's fucking annoying when that happens.
Yeah,
and they're good looking. Got a great
look
body,
at him and you're like, well, he's got to be an arrogant fucking turbo cunt. He's not. He's the nicest bloke you'll ever meet. But I remember him. But he used to do the doors in Hereford in a nightclub that I'm pretty sure I'm still banned from. That's another story. But yeah, he used to work the doors in there, and he used to put that face on. Like, to talking to me, he'd be all nicey, chatty, because he knows me. He'd be like, "Oh, Tommo, how's it going?" It's like, "Yeah, all right, mate." But if any like the chicks would come up to him, and if he was not interested at all, he'd just literally stand there with his fucking arms folded, and you're like, "Yeah, we're just gonna leave him to it."
Amazing, mate. Honest,
that's good to be.
That's exactly how you need to be, because it's one of those positions. You know how I said, like, people would judge me for being like a bigger guy before. When you're on the door, people judge you even harder. So I had it from both edges, because they think straight away that you're going to be some sort of like player dickhead doorman that's just going to sleep with every woman that's there or whatever, and it's just not true. You just can't be bothered. I always prided myself on like never wanting to like get with any of the girls that come to the club, but like it came with the position, unfortunately. Just they will act different around you than they would in a normal sense. And you just have to, you gain this, like, just don't talk to me. Like,
that's got to be fucking annoying as well, because you're cold sober, and there's nothing worse than a pissed up chick that can't handle a drink.
That's it. And like, even the doorman that I used to employ, they all used to say that I must have had some secret tunnels, that I had all these girls like sneaking them off home, because I was never interested. Like, I prided myself on being different, like, because I never wanted to meet a girl in that situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course not.
Because everyone looks at you and thinks that you're going to be a player or whatever. As a doorman, they think you're just going to be some idiot. And I always felt like I wanted to be that guy that if I ever met like a nice girl at the time, I was like, I never wanted to come into the place that I work and think, God, this guy's been with every girl in the club. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm quite a proud person in a way. And it's the same as what I looked for in a woman. It was that I wanted to have the girl that the guys couldn't get. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And incidentally, or ironically, sorry, I actually did meet my missus at the nightclub.
I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah, I did, but it wasn't in that way. It was all done very nicely. But no, it's not nice. You get to see the worst in people as well, men and women. It's a position that changes your view. Same as I'm sure you have a very different perspective on life from your time that you've served. You've seen things that would change your opinion to someone who's never been out of the country. The same way as working the doors, you see behaviour that you wouldn't normally see in normal day-to-day life, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. alcohol definitely changes people, like the
It's
devil's juice.
It's not just alcohol. I mean, I listened to your podcast with was it Chris Barker from SAS?
Yeah.
It's the stuff that he was talking about that everyone gets on nowadays.
Yeah.
The marching powder.
Yeah.
And
the
then
Colombian marching powder.
Oh yeah.
Devil's dandruff.
It is. It makes people.
If I'm truly honest, I've never touched any of that stuff. Like, the only time I've ever had any sort of narcotics really in my system, I tried a spliff once and got weird about my feet, which was strange. And then when I took the missus to Amsterdam for her birthday, we had a couple of fucking space cakes, brownies, whatever they're called, and I literally just became an absolute chatterbox. Like, I couldn't shut up, and that was about it really. I just talked more shit than normal. I had some fun with some pigeons in the damn square where I literally looked like the woman from Home Alone 2. I had all these fucking pigeons on me. My missus though, she just went quiet, like didn't say a word, and I was like, "Are you going to talk to me? Because otherwise, I'm just going to keep talking." That's literally how fast I was talking. I was like, "Are you going to talk to me? Because I'm talking to myself here. Are we going to have a conversation or not?" She's like, "What?" Yeah, literally, everyone was like, "Who's this fucking weirdo?"
My missus just fell asleep. We went to Amsterdam. She took me to Amsterdam for my birthday last year because I really, really wanted to try mushrooms. Like in a like for me, I'm quite a deep person. I like going like down rabbit holes, like I said.
Yeah.
I wanted to sort of explore my own subconscious, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
So I walked into the shop and I was like, dude, because there's different types for whatever you want to try and do. Like if you want to just get a bit giggly or whatever. Honestly, the best experience of my life. I literally went down the rabbit hole.
Oh, fucking Joey Rogan says that as well. Honestly,
I would recommend it to anyone who's in, like, because they're using it now for PTSD. They're not much that they're using. Is it LSD acid now? They're fast tracking it for people with PTSD because it's very beneficial. And it's had such positive results.
See, I need to look into that because I've always been sort of wary of it because I've heard, like, obviously the horror stories, and I'm like, I don't trust my mind when I'm not on anything, let alone if I'm on something.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't really want, because I also have that very rare now that I get it now. I'm sort of balanced, but I have that sleep apnea as well.
Okay.
Where I become paralyzed when I'm sleeping, and I feel like things are taking my soul. Like the only way I can describe it, the only way I describe this, right? This is no word of a lie. So most of the time, I literally, unless I'm having a bit of a sleep episode, most of the time I will just be paralyzed where I can't move. I can literally just move my eyes and I can't scream, I can't shout. Basically, my mind is semi-awake, but my body is still asleep.
Oh mate, this sounds like horrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is, right? Most of the time I can kick myself out of it. The way I do it, I'll wake up but not be awake and be like, oh, I've just got to go back to sleep. That's how my mind works, and I'll go back to sleep and I'll wake up normal. Then there's the horrible times. Now, these are horrible, where I'm all paralyzed, but then I can see coming through the door, and the only way I can describe it is the Dementors from Harry Potter. They come into the room, and I try and shout my missus to basically wake me up, because these fucking things are going to take my soul. Luckily for me, somehow I make strange noises, and she does wake me up. It's fucking horrible because you try and fight it, and it makes it worse. So you're trying to fucking punch out, but your arms aren't moving, and this fucking thing is getting closer to you, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna die in my sleep.
I'm gonna be honest, mate. I probably wouldn't. I don't know if I'd suggest it or not, because you might be used to it now, because you're so used to these demons.
I'm used to being attacked by dementors in my sleep.
Yeah. Me and a good friend of mine sort of enjoy like those sort of conversations and going down the rabbit hole and about sort of other dimensions, etc., etc. Not in like a trippy way, but in more of an exploration sort of way. And both of us have encountered, whenever, like, I've done mushrooms and he's done the psychoactive element of ayahuasca, which is DMT.
Yeah.
And both of us have got confronted when you sort of go on your trip. We've both been confronted by a demon or like a face. Now, and that face for both of us basically has told both of us about ego. You have to pass the test about ego.
Yeah.
And that's a reoccurring thing in anyone who does these sort of psychedelics or whatever. It's all about breaking down the ego, because ego is what is like poisonous in humanity. That's sort of one of the main sort of messages. So you'd be confronted with that, so you might be used to it, but it also might scare the fuck out of you, because once you get past that,
it probably scared the fuck out of me. These fucking things scare the shit out of me when I'm sleeping.
Yeah, I mean,
I've had some horrible ones, mate. Some horrible fucking sleep trips. Because that's part of it, isn't it? The is it serotonin?
Yeah.
When you're asleep.
Yeah. So basically, you've got something at the front of your cerebral vortex called the pineal gland.
Yeah. I didn't want to bro science it, so I'll let you explain that.
Yeah. So it releases chemicals when you're asleep. But it's classed as like your third eye, and it allows you to, like, when I did mushrooms, some people would say that I spoke to like God, or people say they speak to God, but actually my view is that I've actually spoke to my higher being of myself. So it's me going inside of my head and being able to access the parts of my brain that I don't access in normal day-to-day life. And honestly, it's one of the most incredible experiences of my life, because it was just floods of information. Like, it sounds really stupid, but like,
were you in the movie Limitless?
Kind of, yeah. Like, it was one of the main messages, which was really funny, was like food we were being served, because we went to this really nice place called Supper Club, which in Amsterdam. Actually, I'm going to turn my light on because you can't really see me. Bear with me 2 seconds.
Yeah, mate, no problem.
Oh. There we go. It should brighten up in a minute. Yeah, so we went to this thing called Supper Club, which is a really nice venue where it's sort of like a theatre sort of shape, but there's beds all the way around it. Yeah. And then you have entertainment, so there's people on ropes, and you know the fabric where they do spin.
Yeah.
And stuff, like aerobatics. So with loads of music, and you're all led on beds, all next to each other. So we're surrounded by people, and I'm there tripping my bollocks off, like on this little space journey, giggling, because my missus didn't do it. She was like, I'm going to look after you while you do this. But we had this thing that we went to, and one of the messages was like, this food came up, and I could taste where the food came from. Like, it was literally like, oh, this came from the ground, and my mind was laughing at my body, saying, your body's stupid, I'm the powerful one. And it's just floods of information. One of the main ones was actually that I need to eat more from the ground, which is true, because I was like, from bodybuilding for so many years, I stopped eating green beans and stuff because I was bored of it. Like, and it just gave me so many answers, and it actually affected the way that my life went forward for the next few months. Like, and it's positively affected me. And I think that everyone needs to do it at some point. Like, you need to be in the right environment.
You hear that, listeners? You get those fucking mushrooms.
You get those mushrooms.
You get those fucking mushrooms.
Yeah.
And you get on it.
Absolutely. Go searching for the answers.
Go to Amsterdam, search for the answers, come home a better person.
Absolutely. It helped me Dude, we've been going for nearly 2 hours.
Yeah, I know. I was literally just about to say we'll stop calling it quits on tripping on mushrooms.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry, man. I haven't eaten yet.
Yeah. Oh, mate, I had a fucking cracking lasagna, if that makes it any better.
Oh, dude,
Came home, all made for me. She's a good egg. But, mate, in all seriousness, mate, it's been a fucking brilliant episode. Like,
yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome anytime, mate. Anytime you fancy just having a fucking chat, ping me a message and I'll get you on.
Mate, we'll go for a beer. We can talk about some of the subjects we won't
do it, mate. Go for
mate,
a beer.
Thanks again for inviting on. And any help with the like you said, with the link that you're going to send me, that'd be great, because the ride is, is.
Yeah, mate. I'll ping you out the link to Brennan Sharp and the Thick Boy Bike Club. If you ping me your links as well for the charity.
Yep, absolutely.
I'll out for you, well, mate.
Awesome, mate. Well, thanks a lot. And when does this air? Just because a couple of people messaged me.
Now this will be out. I'll get it. It'll definitely be out tomorrow, because I usually do it straight after, but it's like
it's nearly 10 o'clock.
Yeah, and my missus will be like, "You gonna spend any time with me?" But
that's the real reason I need to go, because my missus is inside, probably like going.
Yeah. Mate, so many times I've said to the missus, she's like, "How long are you gonna be?" I'll go, "I'll go about an hour." Like 4 hours later.
Yeah. Mate, it's been fast.
Mate,
again, thank you.
It's an absolute privilege to have you on. Cheers again, mate.
Cheers, mate. Take it steady.